Thank you so much, Jose, and indeed, welcome to each one of us to this PIRA Awards ceremony. I'm sure we've all been looking up to this particular day.
Okay.
It's really been a long process, and looking forward to the final day should be the correct thing. 61 applications were received and only 11 went through. I'm trying to see if there are smiles from those that have made it to this final stage. We definitely need to all congratulate them all. I don't want to waste a lot of your time. We do not have the whole world of time with us. At this particular moment, I will hand over to Jose, co-director based at the AAP office at MSU, and then we'll keep running the program from there. And just for those that we've never met, my name is Wisdom Chinkwede. I am based at the AAP office in Africa, Lilongwe, Malawi. Jose.
Jose, you're muted.
Thank you, Wisdom. Let me begin by saying good morning, good evening, and good night to everyone participating in today's award ceremony. We do have all these different time zones that we're working with, and we really thank those of you who are able to participate with us today. Now, in the past, when we were all together, before COVID, we brought the PIs of the funded teams together in one of our partner countries to allow the networking to continue, to hold some of the planning workshops that we held over the past month, and also to showcase the winning teams in an award ceremony. So we've done this in the past for the prior program that we had. But we're now living in a COVID world, and this virtual world actually allows all of the team members to participate, allow you all to come to the room, to be in those planning meetings, and to participate in today's award ceremony, and to meet and for all of our different stakeholders to see who the partners are. But while I agree that nothing beats face-to-face, let us allow ourselves to think that we're in the same room somewhere, maybe in Bamako, in Nairobi, in Tokyo, or indeed in Kingston, Jamaica. Allow me to extend warm congratulations to all of the winning teams. We've invested $1.5 million in the 11 grantee teams. Youth Transformation had 2 projects, the Africa-Asia Transregional category, 3 projects, Early Career Researchers, 4 projects, and the Global African Diaspora, 2 projects. So when I look at the range of countries and the regions represented, indeed, I think we have achieved our goal to build bridges across the world that will co-create innovative solutions to global challenges in one of the 6 AAP key priority areas. And we've seen many of these priority areas being represented here in the different categories. You see the different universities. So the AAP member universities, US International University in Kenya, University of Pretoria, University of Botswana, Makerere University, Luanar, UDSM, Egerton, ULSHB in Mali, and UNN in Nigeria. And we've had women researchers starring, great, can't hide my bias. And of course, the different partner countries, Japan, India, Jamaica, Barbados, Ghana, Benin, as the non-AAP member countries. One of our expectations from this PIRA program is that these seed funds that we're providing to you will produce key research findings to allow you to expand your projects further and have broader impacts within societies, within your countries and regions. And we've had many exciting examples of this happening from many of the grantee teams that we've funded in the past. And we're really looking forward to interacting with you over the next 18 months as you implement your work, and allow us to continue to support you so that you can achieve your goals and, of course, the goals of our partner institutions. As I wrap up my remarks, I would like to express my thanks again on behalf of the AAP team to our collaborating partners at the International Studies and Program, the African Studies Center, the Asian Studies Center and Asia Nexus, the Global Youth Advancement Network, and the Center for Latin American and Caribbean Studies. I hope I haven't left anyone out, but Amy, I'm sure, will give another thank you to all of our partners. I'd like to challenge all of the teams, all of you, to work really hard to achieve your objectives and to create the solutions that will transform lives in the countries where you'll be working. Thank you again, and I wish you a successful awards program today, and thank you for joining us. Wisdom, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jose, for those welcome remarks. Really inspiring. I liked one part where you thought that we all should imagine that we are in one room somewhere. And I was wondering whether we can allow just 2 seconds, everybody to show their videos and smiles, just to pretend we are in one room for Justin's photograph. Beautiful faces, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And yes, that way. Thank you so much for that. And from there, I'll move on to Richard, who is going to take us through a virtual certificate presentation. I wish this was live. And of course, Q&A thereafter. Richard.
Well, thank you very much, Wisdom. Thank you very much, Jose, for those opening remarks. Again, let me join my colleagues to congratulate everybody for a very well-deserved, effort, and indeed for the awards. This has been indeed a very remarkable initiative from AP's side, and we're very excited on the quality of these initiatives that are coming through. And my role is to simply give a presentation of the certificates virtually, and without wasting time, let me proceed by giving the first certificate to Samson Katengeza and Abigail Bennett on the category of early career research grants, focusing on improving small-scale fish trader livelihoods in Malawi, data tools to improve market access. The certificate is actually, there, reflected. May I, proceed to request the two PIs to proceed to give us their 3 minutes presentation. So Samson and Abigail, please proceed.
Hi, everyone. So maybe I'll start off this presentation, then turn it over to Sam. I'm Abby Bennett from the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife here at MSU. So our project is improving small-scale fish trader livelihoods in Malawi. Fish is crucial to livelihoods, food and nutrition security, and sustainable development worldwide. And small-scale fisheries are particularly important. So they provide about half of global catch and 90% of global fisheries employment. But there are substantial knowledge gaps about small-scale fisheries, especially the post-harvest sector. And this is due to informal, spatially dispersed, and kind of seasonal nature of the activity. So quantifying and understanding their contributions is challenging, and these challenges often undermine representation in policy decision-making and investment. Sam, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, why don't you pick it up?
Okay, so just as she has indicated that there are so many challenges that the fish industry in Malawi is facing, despite the potential that is there. So that's why we came up with this proposal that we can design some innovative data tools that can help to solve the problems and improve the livelihood of the fishermen and also the traders. So basically, we want to employ the innovative approaches whereby we use a spatial approach to the fish food systems. And this approach should be a data centered. And of course, we also bring in a number of partners in the process. These include the fishermen, as I've said, the traders, the academia, and also some NGOs that are involved in this sector. We can go to another slide.
Yeah, great. So this project builds on an existing partnership that initiated during a fish trader workshop in Malawi in 2018 that was organized by Luanar and the UN Food and Agriculture Organization and MSU. And there we tried to understand the challenges facing fish traders in Malawi, in particular female fish traders. So our aim is to scale this partnership through this grant, in particular by continuing to engage private sector, as Sam mentioned, but also government policymakers and international organizations. And we'll do that in part through a workshop to introduce policy tools and ground truth and refined policy intervention models that we plan to do based on the data tools that Sam described. So next slide, please.
Yeah, so we expect the impacts whereby the main impact would be an improvement in the livelihood measured in terms of the food security improvement and also some profits that these traders and the fishermen will be making. We also expect to bridge the science policy interface by providing the evidence through the models that we are going to run in the process. And again, we also expect to engage the diverse stakeholders that we have just mentioned through a number of platforms like the workshops. We may also produce some policy briefs. And we also expect to have some publications. We are so ambitious that probably we can publish maybe 3 or 4 articles to enhance that a lot of people get the message. And then finally, we expect to raise the profile of inland fisheries, both within the nation and also globally. So basically, that's our proposal that we want to do in this project. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Sam and Abigail, for that short brief. Let's proceed to the next grantees. And this is Kelly Hiriko and Michael Kizito, using health information technology governance and epidemiologic approaches to implement sustainable digital health systems in central Uganda. Please proceed to give us your
and indeed, as they prepare, just a reminder that we need at least 3 minutes for each so that we are in time.
Yes, I think so. It's a challenge, but we'd hope that they will stick to that 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Yeah. Please proceed. Are they there?
Yes,
there may be
can hear you.
connection problems. Wisdom, maybe we should, or Richard, maybe we should
Yeah,
move on.
we probably then move to the next, and then we can
wait,
come back when they appear.
I saw Michael in the chat saying he was trying to speak but was not able to come through.
Was he unmuted?
Are you advising we should move on to the next?
I would advise so, and hoping that somebody can maybe reach out to them, so we can then come back to that slide.
Okay.
Richard.
Well, let's proceed then to award the next certificate to Anik Aktil, George Berhon, Ronald DeSanjo, Susan Mastin, and Coleman Musoka on understanding the nexus between energy and water infrastructure, water access, gender roles, and female education attainment in Tanzania, development of the Women Building Tanzania Research Consortium. Who is making that presentation?
I'll be doing that, Richard.
Oh, yeah, please. Yeah, proceed, George. Yeah, right. Excellent.
Sure. Thank you. Just need to get our slides up. There we go. Good morning, everybody. And I hope my team members that are on the call can also share their video so they can say hello and good morning, good afternoon to everyone. We can go to the next slide, please.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Sure.
The multitasking, Justin is multitasking. So George, do you have all your teammates?
There are, yeah, at least a few of our team is here. I know Susan Mastin is here, Ronald DeSanjo is here. Right there. Okay, there we go. Thank you. So this is a project that grew out of a outreach and intervention focused partnership that started about 2 years ago. And the motivation for the work is that despite the fact that Tanzania is growing very quickly in terms of its economy, there are significant academic achievement gaps for female students, particularly in the transition from primary school to secondary school. So we can go to the next, please. You know, so we're seeing nationwide that there is some improvement in that gender inequality, but there's still room for improvement, particularly with that secondary and post-secondary educational attainment. And STEM focus has been, or STEM disciplines have been a main focus of organizations that are looking to increase the number of girls and women completing these levels of education and limiting the female dropout rate. At the same time, we've understood from our previous work that there's a number of social and cultural factors that cause girls to drop out of school between primary and secondary school. And there's some perception related issues that persist, as well as some infrastructure access issues in the schools themselves. So the goal of the project then, if you can go to the next slide, yeah, there we go, is to take what's, again, has been an outreach and intervention based partnership and add a research component to it to really better understand the system surrounding this educational attainment gap and really understand the role that improving access to infrastructure, whether that's sanitation infrastructure, energy infrastructure, or hygiene infrastructure, plays in solving some of that educational gap issue. And the focus for the project is in Kiparanganda, which is a small community just south of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, so in the peri-urban area surrounding Dar es Salaam. We can go to the next slide, please. Like I mentioned, this builds from a partnership that was founded 2 years ago that really focused on outreach and intervention. And that work to date has led to improved electrification and improved water access in the focus community and the focus school that we're working with. The project that we're talking about today is a collaboration between the University of Dar es Salaam's Institute of Development Studies and 3 units at MSU, the School of Planning, Design, and Construction, the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, and the Center for Community and Economic Development. And we've had a significant number of industry and NGO partners as well, including the local school that we're working with in Kiparanganda, a high school science department here in Michigan, the MSU Professional Women Builders student organization, and you can see through the rest of the organizations there. So thank you for your time and look forward to taking questions when we get to that point.
Thank you very much, George. Much appreciated for that brief presentation. I wonder if we have
Mike and Kara back in here.
Yes,
available?
I'm now on. Yes, I'm now available.
Michael?
Only that Kelly is not available. Michael is available, but I'll request Justin to put Kelly on as well.
Okay. Yeah, if you may proceed.
All right. This is Michael Chizito from Makerere University in Kampala, Uganda. And my co-PI is Kelly from the University of Michigan. Next slide, please. And we are, our project is entitled Using Health Information Technology Governance and Epidemiologic Approaches to Implement Sustainable Digital Health Systems in Central Uganda. So the challenges that we realized in generally underserved settings are the implementation of sustainable telehealth systems to address healthcare access. And of course, this was really pronounced in this time of COVID, where people who had chronic diseases or had regular appointments with doctors were unable to go and get their drugs. So yeah, some organizations here in Uganda at least tried the telehealth system. And so the project intends to address the problem in a manner such as to build bridges between the health care facilities, the providers, and the health IT staff and patients. And we think this will be able to help us identify the relevant approaches for digital health solutions, and then create a coalition for further collaborative efforts to improve health outcomes in Central Uganda. And yes, the partners are Kelly Hako from Michigan University College of Human Medicine, and me, Michael Chizito from Makerere University, the College of Computing and Information Sciences. And then we'll involve the private sector and the health centers in Central Uganda. Next slide, please. Yeah, so in order to advance this area of study, that is IT governance in healthcare and epidemiology and biostatistics in healthcare, we hope to facilitate future efforts to implement sustainable digital health platforms, which will improve healthcare access in underserved settings. And we hope that the impact of this project will really emphasize the value of community health partners, and then work with other stakeholders in order to develop community-driven project proposals, which we shall send to future grant applications. And the dissemination strategy is expected to be a website where we shall put all our things, photos, videos, and maybe have a blog to share what we've come up with. And then academic articles which will be sent to conferences, journals, and then we also intend to come up with policy briefs and also give talks once in a while here and there with many ministry officials and then the communities with which we will work. So that is all for our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Michael. On behalf of the other PIs, if we may proceed to present the next certificate to Christina Okinyeri and Butumelo Magope. Evaluation of inclusive education programs for transition age students with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Botswana and Ghana. Please, if you may proceed, Christina or Butumelo.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are tuning in from. My name is Christiana. I'm from the Department of Rehabilitation Counseling at Michigan State University. And my co-PI is Butumelo from the University of Botswana. Our project seeks to evaluate inclusive education programs for transition age students with intellectual and developmental disabilities, or abbreviated ADD, in Botswana and Ghana. Next slide, please. So in Botswana and Ghana, there are policies and legislation on inclusion and transitioning for students with IDD. However, these policies and legislation are not adequately implemented. Also, for decades, there have been limited inclusion of students with IDD and their families or caregivers in the transition process. Further, there exists scarce resources and services to sustain the effective school-to-work transition for students with IDD. Now, to address students with IDD needs and improve their post-school outcomes, it is important to improve the quality of the transition practices and processes. So our project has three main objectives. Number one, we seek to evaluate current transition practices in Botswana and Ghana. Number two, we want to adapt and create a culturally sensitive transition framework and also create transition practice guidelines that can support the effective transitioning for students with IDD in Botswana, Ghana, and even similar contexts. Next slide, please. Now, our project is innovative and collaborative for a number of reasons. Number one, through this project, we will develop a culturally sensitive transition framework for students with IDD. We know from the literature that this is currently absent in Botswana and Ghanaian contexts. Number two, we adopt a community-based approach. Now, this approach seeks to collaboratively and equitably involve all partners in the research process, also recognizing their unique strengths to achieve meaningful social change. Number three, our team is a diversified one with researchers from diverse institutions. For example, myself and Dr. Konisang, who is co-investigator on this project, are from MSU. So we are Spartans. We have 2 African countries on this project. We have Botswana and Ghana, and there are 3 African universities. Now we have 1 PI and 3 co-PIs from these universities partnering on this project. And we also have a co-PI from an Australian university. So this really makes our team diverse. Further, our research settings and stakeholders are diversified. For example, we will recruit participants from urban, semi-urban, and rural settings in Ghana and Botswana. Also, our stakeholders will comprise researchers, consultants, advisory board members, and participants from diverse backgrounds. Next slide, please. Now, what is the impact of our project? We anticipate that our project will make significant impact, number one, at the individual level, at the family level, at the community level, and at the regional and national levels. So at the individual level, we anticipate that the project will improve the transitioning and optimal quality of life for students with IDD through person-centered transitioning programming. Since we adopt a community-based participatory approach, we will involve families and communities in the creation of the transition framework and transitioning programming for students with IDD. Also, we anticipate that the transition framework and practice guidelines that we create from the project will be adopted at the regional and national levels in Ghana, Botswana, and even similar African contexts. Now, how will we disseminate our findings? We will conduct workshops with a representation of diverse partners and stakeholders. We will have an open access resource platform with accessible features where even families and stakeholders who are not educated can have access to. We hope to publish our research in peer-reviewed journals, and we definitely will be presenting at national and international scientific conferences. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Christina. Much appreciated. I think this marks the end of LA Career Research Grants category. It's very clear from the presentations that this work, I think all the work presented reflects the transdisciplinary nature of the work that is on the ground, but also the commitment of the researchers towards impactful research and also, partnerships, different types of partnerships. We're very delighted also on the nature of inclusivity that is reflected in the research work that is actually emerging. Would like to move on to questions and answer, and we do not have much time. We have about 13 minutes, but given now that we started off late, we may reduce that probably to 10 minutes for question answer session. Do we have any questions from the chat box, question and answer? Justin?
Yeah, I see a question from Nicholas.
Okay, can you read that question, please?
Okay, so it says, Michael Kizito, how will the rural dwellers with limited internet access information on the website? I guess it's referring to how Michael and colleagues are going to disseminate their findings in Uganda.
This is Kelly Herko. I'm Michael's partner, and that's a really, really great question. And one thing that we are hoping to do through this project is really try to work with our stakeholders to understand the needs for telehealth and the preferences and the barriers for telehealth so that we can design systems that will be appropriate and relevant. And that is probably one of the main barriers is the internet access. So through our work, we hope to bring exposure to issues that are local and relevant on the ground. And then this project will then be a stepping stone to lead to projects to help overcome some of those barriers.
No, thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much. We have another question here for the research on improving small-scale fish traders' livelihoods in Malawi. One of those questions is, what new approaches would you recommend that the governments use to ensure that data collection is expanded and available to appropriate planning and programming? There's always this challenge between linkages between researchers and government. What approaches would you recommend that government uses to make sure that there's accessibility to this data being gathered? I think this is a general question to everybody also. How do we link our research? How do we link our research to feed into government processes? Because this work is impactful research, all of us. by extension means we must reach out to government. So perhaps we can start with Malawi, Sam and Abigail.
Yeah, just come again.
The question is, you know, how are you going to make sure that, you know, the new approaches you recommend, you know, will ensure that the data you're gathering is expanded and utilized by appropriate planning ministries, or is linked up to government to make sure that they use that data?
Okay, like for us, because in the first place we are involving the government from the start of our project. So there'll be a number of workshops that we have organized with stakeholders, including the government. So the government itself will be part and parcel of the system. So whatever will be developing, they will participate in that, and that will give us an assurance that they will be able to use that the recommendations that we are going to give, because they'll be part of the system. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other responses on how do you link this work to government planning processes? On how do we seek buy-in from government? How do we make sure that we have buy-in from government on our research? I think that's essentially the question.
If I could
The other three teams.
Michael?
Yeah, this is Michael. If I could come in here, I think that could be addressed through the multi-sectoral collaboration. And just like the previous speaker said, they're already involving government. By working with healthcare centers in Uganda, they are under the Ministry of Health. And we have Health Center 3s, Health Center 4s and 5s, and then we have the referral system. So a patient will start from down and go up to the top. So we think that by working with those health centers, we're already working with government. And of course, in their reports or monthly or quarterly reports, they'll be able to produce this in their managerial meetings. And so we believe there will be good dissemination.
Right. Yeah. Maybe at some stage we would like to get into further conversations to explore how you organize maybe seminars with active participation of government as you begin to disseminate some of the findings. But I think that's down the road. Maybe moving on to George and Ron's presentation. One of the questions is, how do you plan to use the findings to promote gender equality in schools?
Yeah, this is a really good question. And unfortunately, in a 3-minute presentation, it's difficult to give some of that, the full picture. So to answer that question, one of the things I would point you to is what we know anecdotally is that many young girls are unable to attend school because of illness, and this illness may arise due to some expectations that are placed on them within their family units. So maybe relating to poor indoor air quality from cooking, waterborne disease due to lack of available clean water, and also menstruation issues that cannot really be attended to given the infrastructure that's available in schools. So the plan or the goal of the project is really to understand when we look at this really complex set of factors that cause girls in about grade 7 to no longer attend school, really what are those direct connections to infrastructure? How does infrastructure improvement really start to circumvent or help avoid some of those issues? But then in a bigger sense, the project is organized around task teams, and one of the task teams is involved with STEM education and technology. And one of the thoughts of the group from the time we first put this partnership together is that if we're talking to students in schools about infrastructure change and how infrastructure change can lead to positive health outcomes and other improvements in quality of life, there's also an opportunity to use those very interventions, those very construction and engineering interventions that are happening in the school as the basis to provide STEM education opportunity for students at the same time. And so part of the partnership involves engagement with engineering students at the University of Dar es Salaam, the Women's Engineers Professional Association in Tanzania as well, to create sort of a mentorship pathway of female university students, female practicing engineers with the students that are in the schools that are experiencing the construction and engineering interventions at the same time. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I think it does. It does. Yeah, right. Yeah. Maybe the last question, perhaps, again, it revolves around the question of how we make our research sustainable, and how do we make sure that, again, there is buy-in to make sure that there's commitment from the private sector, there's commitment from government, there's commitment from the donor community to ensure that the work, the outcomes of our work become sustainable, including probably funding by, the various partners, more particular government. So maybe this question goes to Christina and Butumelo on how do you plan to engage stakeholders such as policymakers and the business community to ensure sustainability, those with disabilities, intellectual disabilities. How do we make sure that they have, opportunities for, to go into employment? How do we sustain this work? Christina or Butumelo?
Hello, everyone. This is Butumelo Mangope from Botswana. Unfortunately, I won't use the video because of our inactive or weak internet connectivity. How do we intend to ensure that there is this continual partnership between us and the government and other agencies that will be participating in our study? Right from the beginning, as we speak right now, when we started, we have started some consultations with these various key stakeholders in the study. They are right now participating in what we are doing in terms of planning, developing the instruments and all the planning for the project. So we have decided to bring them on board right from the beginning up to the end. So there's never going to be a time when there is going to be where we are going to lose them. They will be actively participating in the study from the beginning up to the dissemination of information. So in this way, we would ensure that they are always on board.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Without further ado, I think let's proceed to the next category of grants. The youth.
Yes, Richard. And yes, Richard. So we got 7 more presentations to go, and that's 21 minutes. I was wondering if we want to go through all of them, and then we take questions throughout that whole lot. I'm like cutting them again into Q&A for per category. I don't know what you think, so that at least we make use of the next 45 minutes.
Well, good suggestion, Wisdom. I think so. I think we'll save a lot of time because these conversations can be endless. So I think if we may proceed and get all the presentations, and then we can get back to question and answer. So let's proceed to the first awardees, Youth Empowerment Building Bridges for Social Changes in Francophone Africa. Marseille and Neil Wellor and colleagues, can you proceed please to make that presentation?
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm here on behalf of my colleagues who are both administering exams right now. So in lieu of a PowerPoint presentation, we collectively put together a 3-minute video that touches on all of the topics. So I will let the video play and it will speak for itself on behalf of my colleagues.
Thank you. Youth creativity.
I am Lalora Tambura, an assistant professor at the University of Letter and Human Science of Bamako. I specialize in information and communication science.
My name is Bienvenu Azengo. I am an assistant professor in Benini Center of Foreign Languages at the University of Abubakar Benin. Thank you.
My name is Marcy Hessling O'Neill, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Anthropology at Michigan State University. My specialization is education and youth livelihoods.
C'est vrai. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. That's our presentation from our team on youth empowerment, building bridges for social change in Francophone Africa.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Should we proceed to the next presentation? University of Botswana, collaborative research on youth empowerment and education, infrastructure and mobility innovations for resilient community health. Abraham and Odirile.
I proceed? Okay.
Yes, please proceed. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to present on behalf of the team in a way, and many of them are, most of the team actually is here. And thank you for that to everyone for joining. So this is a collaborative effort between the College of Engineering. I'm in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering myself, the College of Education through a couple of other PIs here at MSU, and also a great team from the University of Botswana led by Dr. Rodirelli, and you can see the names right there on the slides. It's an excellent team that spans multiple disciplines and multiple areas. And also the IMFIRS group represented here by Abraham, and it's a company, local company in Botswana. So the project is centered around the main theme of youth empowerment and capacity building. So that's the general overarching theme. Next slide, please. As it's well established in all regions around the world and almost in every country, infrastructure development is one of the main drivers of economic growth and also access to opportunities. So what we're doing here is we are leveraging on the well-established concept of leapfrogging in technology, which has been tested through multiple other applications, including in health and in other communication technologies. And we are proposing to use the ideas behind smart infrastructure. And you can see the definition down there in that graph: sustainable, multifunctional, automated, resilient transport infrastructure. That's the, in a way, the what SMART stands for in the title. And the objective is to foster innovation and entrepreneurship with a focus on the impacts on youth development and community health. So in a way, innovating in smart infrastructure and jumping into innovative technologies related to smart mobility will foster access to opportunities and increased innovation. Thus, we are going to create a positive feedback in a way. That's the concept that we are trying to prove here. So in a way, innovations improve access, which also creates more opportunities to innovate and so on, which feeds back into creating, again, more innovative solutions that will improve the livelihood of communities. That's the component on community health. And also, obviously, will create a lot of technological and innovative solutions when it comes to infrastructure. Next slide, please. So in addition to the technical research collaboration, which includes multiple technology transfer and technology development initiatives, we are planning on using novel and innovative tools for impacts assessment, such as the Beliefs, Events, Value Inventory tool, the BEVI tool, in a short way. And the chart below on the slides shows the targeted competency in this project, which spans multiple areas from technical, professional to global competencies for all the participants in this project. And thank you, everyone. Thank you again for the team for being here. And we're happy to start this project.
Well, thank you very much, Nizar. Thank you very much. That's, again, a very exciting initiative. Can we proceed to the next one? This is on implementation of an Africa-Asia Business Partnership Forum using translocal networks and transdisciplinary approaches to supply capacity development of African entrepreneurs and new collaborative business ventures. Yemisi, Bomole, and Farai, and Kudo. Please proceed. Yemisi? Or Farai?
Farai is presenting, but I'm wondering if we lost him. I'm looking for him. Farai, did we lose you? I don't see him.
You probably may want to proceed.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Yem Olumale from Supply Chain Management at Michigan State University. Thank you for the AAP team at MSU for this award. Next slide, please. So one of the things that drove the setting behind this proposal was the understanding that Africa, in spite of all of its opportunities, still has a relatively low industrial development. And in particular, the impact, even in certain high income countries, the impact on individual income of people and employment is still relatively limited. The purpose of this grant is to consider perhaps a rethinking of the Look West adaptation of business practices that we have gone through so far. In this particular research proposal, we are looking for how successful a Look East approach would work in empowering African entrepreneurs. By doing that, one of the things that we're looking to do is to create local connections between African small business entrepreneurs and Asian small business entrepreneurs, based on the perspective that if you consider culturally and historically, there's actually quite a lot of similarity between Africa and Asia. However, if you look at the history of Africa, it has been common for many of our empowerment or business development principles to be developed based on Western cultures. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we would like to proceed with is to implement a collective learning protocol between small business entrepreneurs in Africa and Japan specifically, and put them together for a capacity building focus group situation where they will be working together in living labs that are set up in Japan. Next slide, please. The idea behind the use of a living lab is to essentially put these people as local actors within, I'm sorry, I'm seeing comments come in. Let me finish the presentation and I'll take the questions. It's basically to encourage these actors as entrepreneurs to work together, learn together, train together within a living lab that is located in Japan, but to also have the Japanese entrepreneurs come over to Africa to participate in some training sessions as well. The idea is essentially to be able to figure out if there is a development of global contextualization to the training of these people from a capacity development perspective. Next slide, please. The immediate output that we are hoping for is essentially to create a new knowledge transfer platform that is based on this interaction between African and Asians to see if the cultural similarity is able to facilitate a higher and better and smoother transition of knowledge transfer between these two groups of entrepreneurs. From a perspective of how we will disseminate, we are hoping to put together practice-related items like an educational video, as well as a website for promoting the outcomes or the outputs of the project. In addition to that, from a research perspective, we're also hoping to put together a textbook discussing how these cultural and learning similarities are useful for knowledge transfer, as well as the possibility of publishing a high impact journal article that essentially measures how effective this knowledge transfer method is over and above what we currently know in the literature. Next slide, please. I think that's the last one. Yep, that's the last one. I'll be happy to take any questions, and my co-PI is actually here. I saw him, Shogo. So if anyone has any questions related to how the living labs work in Japan, I believe Shogo is present if you'd like to spend a few minutes talking about that.
Yeah, definitely questions will come on at the very end after we take the next three.
Okay.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Yemi. Thank you very much for that presentation. Can we move on to the next one? Africa-Asia Partnerships for Sustainable Development. Arnold and Becky Thomas and Karim.
Good morning, good afternoon. This is Karim Maridia, Richard, thank you. We have with us Dr. Arnold Opio from Egerton University in Kenya. Arnold, you are there? Hello? He was there on the Zoom. And Dr. Parvati from Somaiya Vidyavihar University in Mumbai. Parvati, you are there? Hello? Are they muted? Arnold
Karim,
is there. I think he's
yeah.
muted. He's muted. Arnold is muted. Anyway, I'll go ahead with the presentation and then we can take the questions. So South-South partnership is a hallmark of our College of Agriculture and Natural Resources here at Michigan State University. And this project is focusing on Africa-Asia Partnership for Sustainable Development. We are building on the current existing partnership between Michigan State University and Somaiya Vidyavihar in Mumbai. And this project has been going on for 2 years, the partnership between SVU and MSU. And we thought we'd take this platform and expand this program, this partnership with Africa. And we selected Egerton University. Next one, please. So the partners are 3, Egerton University, Somaiya Vidyavihar, and Michigan State University. And in addition to this, we will bring in other collaborators that are working with Somaiya Vidyavihar, with Egerton, and from MSU, both from public and private sector. And for the sustainable development, it's a very broad theme. So our current partnership with Somaiya focuses on 6 areas of sustainable development. First one, we're looking at nutrition area, healthy diets. Second one on soil health, very important issue. Last year, the World Food Prize was given to a scientist who was been working on soil health. The third area is looking at precision agriculture. How do we make our agriculture more efficient, more precise? The fourth area is on bioenergy, alternative energy. And fifth area is looking at eco-friendly packaging using agricultural waste. And then lastly, very important one is water resources. Next one, please. The objective of this partnership is to establish a joint research network between India and Kenya, and then with Michigan State, and then share the knowledge, best practices, and innovative research tools and emerging technologies from India and MSU with research scientists from Egerton University in Kenya. And then lastly, to develop, this is a planning grant. So we will develop joint proposals for seeking external funding under India-Africa Partnership and other funding opportunities. So we have 2 activities planned. First one is a joint workshop that will include researchers from Egerton University, from Somaiya Vidyavihar, and from Michigan State University. And this will be held in India, hosted by Somaiya Vidyavihar. And then the second workshop will be done at Egerton University in Kenya, where the team will travel to Kenya. And out of these 2 workshops and continuing discussion, we will develop joint proposals. Next one, please. I won't go into detail here, but the 6 areas that we have that we'll be focusing for each of the areas, we have research teams identified from each of the 3 universities. So this will make an excellent about 18 to 20 scientist network focusing on these 6 areas. Next one, please. The question is, what will this project achieve? I think through working jointly with scientists from India, Africa, and MSU, we will have programs that will focus on better management of natural resources, particularly soil and water, also contribute towards nutrition, enhancing nutrition through healthy foods, and also agricultural waste management, and also generating renewable and alternative energy, and all these leading to enhancing agriculture productivity and better environment and more food security. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Karim. If we may proceed to the next one on strengthening agriculture extension training in the MSU Alliance for African Partnership Consortium Partnership for Africa. Murari, Charite, or
Agu will be presenting.
Agu, okay.
Yes, Agu will be presenting.
Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, of course, you've said it. This is a proposal focusing on strengthening agricultural extension training in MSU Alliance for Africa Partnership Consortium Partners in Africa. Of course, the principal investigators, as you see, cut across a number of universities. From MSU, you have Professor Murari. From University of Nigeria, you have Professor Agu. Of course, from India, you have PVC Shisheda, and then Charity Chanza from Malawi. Of course, we also have team members, Professor Dimelu from UNN, Associate Professor Sweden from MSU, Frank Shoa from Malawi, and of course, Ifeoma Quinte Anogwa from Nigeria, University of Nigeria. Go on, please. Right. In terms of our project overview, we recognize the fact that training content of agricultural institutions in Africa actually do reflect the historical influence of Western universities. And we recognize that these are out of sync with current agricultural realities in Africa. What has happened is that we end up producing agricultural extension graduates that have little opportunity to develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Of course, we recognize the fact that periodic undergraduate extension curriculum is necessary to produce graduates that have the core process skills and competencies to address issues of sustainable food security. And in doing this, again, our major focus will be to look at what actually exists in terms of the curricula being shared in these AAP universities. We also want to know what are the critical gaps in this curriculum, and then how do we actually end up sharing what is necessary to make our products, the agricultural graduates, really taking charge of what they need to do in terms of doing what they have to do right, and also trying to see how to institutionalize the outcome of this research, even in these universities and across that. Hence, this project would help to strengthen the AAP member universities to develop competent extension professionals that are actually needed for the contemporary issues in agriculture in Africa. Yes. Next slide, please. Right. In terms of our projected impact, we believe that this project will result in improvements through reforms in our undergraduate agricultural extension curricula to prepare the next generation of agricultural extension professionals to actually competently handle extension service delivery in Africa, especially when we recognize the issue of climate change and its problems in Africa, international trade, and of course, the issue of COVID-19 Now we wonder, how do our graduates be able to capture this even in their activities as they go out from the university? We intend to communicate the outputs of our research through seminars and workshops at each AAP member university. We also intend to have an ice-breaking AAP-wide learning and dissemination workshop that will be held in Malawi sometime in 2022. Of course, we will share the outcomes of our research through top-tier journals, through social media outlets, but more importantly, also through sharing, even within the universities that offer extension, agric extension in Africa. Our expectation is that at the end of this, we will be able to reform the curricula of extension, even in Africa, to make our products definitely better positioned to deliver extension service in Africa. Thank you very
much. As Richard comes in, I was getting some echoes. May I just request that the rest of us switch off our microphones and don't allow the speakers to be on?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that presentation. If we can move on from the Asia-Africa transregional grants to the Global African Diaspora grants. And the first to be presented is a novel composite flours for globally nutritious foods. Sharon, Eugene?
Yes.
Ian?
So this is Sharon, and I'll be presenting on behalf of my team. Both team members were unable to be here today.
It'd be good just for our colleagues to understand, since we're talking about the global African diaspora, if you can indicate which institutions you're from, okay, or which part of the region you're from.
Definitely. So my name is Sharon Hooper, and I'm actually at MSU here in Plant Science and Microbial Sciences Department. And our partners are Ian Thompson from Jamaica and Eugenie Ketsi from University of Pretoria. Now, greetings again, everybody. And our project is titled Novel Composite Flours for Globally Nutritious Foods. And what we found is that many communities worldwide suffer, high rates of malnutrition, including micronutrient deficiencies. And this can be seen predominantly in women of reproductive age and children. And so our three focus countries, South Africa, Jamaica, and the United States, each have unique struggles with malnutrition. And in each case, the urban poor are in need of nutritious options. Now, in order to address this challenge or these challenges, our group will be formulating affordable novel composite flours with high bioavailable iron, vitamin A, and protein content, as well as protein quality, to bridge the nutritional gaps in the diets of consumers in these three regions. This will be done using locally recognizable raw materials such as cassava, maize, sweet potatoes, and dry beans to make culturally acceptable foods. So in terms of the culturally acceptable foods, so we'll be formulating to have complementary protein, a flour that has balanced amino acids, and we will be doing iron bioavailability assays to determine which types of beans and which producers will produce the content that we require. So we'll be doing like sensory evaluations with the African diaspora in the US first. For that formulation, we'll be drawing persons from different regions in Africa, letting them taste the products that are made, get back feedback, and then reformulate to give a product with sort of a global taste. We will also be engaging local small businesses and the community eventually in or partner regions to determine acceptability. Next slide, please. you may ask, what is innovative about this project? But our team will be using both new and old technologies to achieve our project goals. We'll be using a unique novel decompression milling system, and the system is manufactured by a local small Michigan company. The system is very energy efficient and can produce shelf-stable bean flours that are high in protein. And you're able also to get flours with variable particle sizes. We'll also be using the old technology of fermented maize along with our biofortified sweet potatoes and cassava. And we believe that the implementation of this project will increase the usage and consumption of nutrient-dense composite flours, both by manufacturers and consumers alike, providing a vehicle for malnutrition reduction. Our project will also provide alternate markets for farmers. Additionally, we'll be engaging farmers, or local entrepreneurs and consumers throughout the project life. And we intend to communicate project results via several avenues, such as in peer-reviewed publications, workshops with stakeholders, and social media. We will be interacting with consumers to get their viewpoint if this is, something that they would demand as well. Next slide, please. And then finally, just like these are our partner members, we have Michigan State University, as I said, myself, we have University of Pretoria, which is in South Africa, University of the West Indies in Jamaica, and we have some USDA ARS partners as well. And we'd just like to thank AAP for awarding us this grant. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sharon. Thank you very much for that presentation.
Richard, as you come back to the mic, I just wanted to remind everybody in the audience that if you've got any questions, please put them in the Q&A, because when you write them in the chat, it's kind of clouded and it may, the panelists may not be able to see the questions. Thank you, Richard.
All right, no, thank you. Last but not least, let's move on to race and ethnicity and the question of post-colonial citizenship, a comparative study of East Africa and Anglophone Caribbean. Monique and Kelly and Aaron and our other colleague, over to you.
Yes, and I'll be presenting for the group. So first of all, let me thank PIRA and this incredible initiative that has put so many of us into conversation. Our project, Race, Ethnicity, and the Question of Post-Colonial Citizenship is going to be a comparative study of East Africa and Anglophone Caribbean. The specific countries that we're looking at are Kenya and Barbados. And really what we're trying to do is interrogate the legacy that colonialism has left in its wake, because as many of us realize, the question of post-colonial citizenship or the conundrums that have been posed by judicial rights, forms of belonging, identity concerns of people in nation states that were subjected to modern colonial rule is arguably the central issue faced by these states today in one way or the other. So what we're trying to do is look at the question of race and ethnicity and how that determines questions surrounding legitimate claims of citizenship within the nation, access to state resources, and perceptions of socioeconomic well-being. So it's a grand project that we're doing on this question of the legacy of colonialism in both countries. And if we could go on to the next slide. Our principal investigators are Monique Kelly, who's the Dean's Research Associate at Michigan State. Myself, I'm a professor of Caribbean and Africana thought at the University of the West Indies Cavo campus, which is in Barbados, and Dr. Cassandra Kenny, who is a professor and chair in the Department of International Relations at US International University, Africa. If we can go to the final slide, this project is serving as a model of interdisciplinary and transnational scholarship on race and ethnicity. And we're doing a lot of detailed empirical data collection, marrying it with theoretical insights on the historical genesis and reproduction of racialized identities in both spaces. We hope that our impact would be as a model of interdisciplinary project scholarship that will have a wide impact on a variety of different fields. I mean, some of the fields that will have an impact on will kind of include sociology, political science, citizenship studies, and cultural studies. We certainly intend to share our findings with community stakeholders and policymakers in the hopes that we can recommend some of the recommendations that we make will elicit change within these societies. And we will be communicating our results in a variety of different modes. We'll be hosting a conference at the very end, but we'll also be publishing our findings in internationally peer-reviewed journals. And we will also be disseminating our work through our teaching. So that's what we hope to do in our project. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Aaron. Thank you, and thank you to everybody. You know, on your presentations, very clear. Again, you know, all of the presentations speak to impactful research that will impact on lives in Africa and indeed in the other, you know, participating countries. Of leapfrogging seem to be, you know, very they need to respond to that in terms of how do we really ensure that, particularly for those who are focusing on the you know, diaspora work as well as transregional Asia, Africa, you know, research. How do you really, you know, leapfrog into Africa with new technologies, with new approaches or new models? Very important, you know, question. Wisdom, can we proceed along those lines, and maybe we get...
Yes, please. So we get specific questions to specific teams. And also just to apologize very quickly, already, of course, we started kind of late, and we're likely to run over by at least 10 minutes just to ensure that each of the teams gets at least a question. Apologies once again, Richard.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but let me move maybe very quickly to the Africa-Asia Partnership Sustainable Development. That's Karim's presentation and colleagues. How specifically will the teams work towards using the findings to transform lives in Africa and Asia? Again, we're interested in impactful work that will come out of the research. How will this collaboration impact on lives on the ground in Africa or Asia? Karim?
Yeah, sure. And my partners are there. I think one of them, Dr. Parvati, are you still there? They were muted. Hello?
Yes, Dr. Marcus, correct.
Okay. And Arnold, Professor Arnold, are you there? You are also muted. Okay, so Richard, very quickly, I know the time is very short. I think the way we are looking at it is impacting the lives is, you know, our goal is through all of these programs to enhance agriculture productivity and food security and livelihoods, and to enhance agriculture productivity, as you know, soil health is very important, right? Soil and water resources are very important. So I think what we are looking at it is impacting, you know, improving soil health, soil quality, and efficient use of water resources and other areas. And hopefully through that, we would be able to enhance agriculture productivity. That's one example, yeah? Agriculture waste is very important. For example, the Somaya Vidyavihar and Parvati, you can say more. They are using agricultural waste. A good example of that, the work that they are doing is coconut shell, all the waste material. You know, when you peel the coconut shell, all the waste, rather than throwing it away, they are using it to make eco-friendly packaging materials that could be used. So these are biodegradable environmentally friendly packages. So these are the ways we are looking at it, right? As a part of the sustainable development to enhance agriculture productivity and food security.
To add to what Dr. Karim has said, the entire project has been, or the thematic areas have been decided so that they all interlink with one another. So you learn the soil health, you learn the microbial solutions, you learn how you can improve the soil, you use precision farming to, inform the farmers, and then finally waste management. So it's an end-to-end solution to identify from soil health to the waste management. And as Dr. Karim said, we are looking into sustainable packaging, where we are changing and identifying natural fibers and converting them into eco-friendly packages. So that's one part of the project.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So it's a more richer and more integrated approach, looking at the natural resources, looking at energy issues, also food that we eat should be healthy, right? Nutrition is a big issue. So how do we, promote healthy foods and looking at, balanced nutrition, not just calories, but also micronutrients and others.
Yeah. Let me move on to the presentation from Yemi and Farai. On forming this partnership using trans-local networks and transdisciplinary approaches to support local businesses within Africa. In the wake of the African Union setting up this Africa Continental Preferential Trade Area, how do we ensure that Africans are able to compete, particularly at the global scale? How do we make sure that we have these competitive businesses, resilient businesses that are able to compete meaningfully at the global scale within the new scheme of things as advanced by the African Union in terms of this continental free trade area, but also bearing in mind, of course, some of the giant countries like South Africa, Nigeria, and others. I mean, how do you allow other smaller countries to really be competitive in this, business space?
Okay, thank you, Richard. Maybe I'll just respond quickly, and then I'll also allow my colleagues to respond. So I think the key innovative approach that we are using of translocal learning through the partnership between Japanese and African entrepreneurs, I think it allows for collective learning and peer learning. So one of the key things that a lot of African entrepreneurs, which sometimes they lack, is opportunities to sell their products and sell their innovations to other countries. And one of the key hindrances to that is that they do not have, adequate partnerships, and they are not able to learn from the experiences of, countries such as Japan, which is also, at an advanced levels of industrialization. So one thing that we hope to learn and hope to support the entrepreneurs is to engage with other Japanese entrepreneurs and learn from their experience and how they've been able to expedite and scale up their businesses and be competitive, globally. I'm sure my colleagues Shogo and Yenu would probably want to add something to that.
Yemi, any additions? Well, if not, maybe we can move on to the other one on extension, strengthening agriculture extension training in the MSU AAP framework consortium. I think all of us are agreed that one of the challenges of extension is that it has in the past impacted differently on different groups. How do you want to mitigate against the tendency of not reaching out to marginalized groups? How do you make sure that there's really equity in extension to make sure that smaller, maybe farmers or women farmers, or indeed young people, are also reached by the models that you're trying to advance through training?
It appears that Professor Agwo is muted. Let me answer it. We have built a very robust methodology in our research. We will be engaging many stakeholders within these countries, AAP universities like Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Malawi, and Uganda. And we have 3 approaches. We will be conducting focus groups, key informant interviews with the curriculum committee and the extension functionaries, the leaders of the system, and also the employers, private sectors. We will reach out to them. They will participate in our online survey and case studies. And at the end, we plan to hold a regional workshop inviting all key stakeholders in Lilongwe, Malawi. This will be a 3-day workshop to share the findings, the implications of our study, and how we can best integrate these findings in the existing curriculum. We have conducted this study in Sri Lanka, India, and Nepal, and our colleagues from IGNU, Indira Gandhi National Open University, myself, and all the team will gather in this major dissemination workshops and try to share the findings. So we will work very closely with all stakeholders and curriculum committees and the systems within each university in this country. We hope the new graduates, the curriculum we recommend, will have opportunity to learn the state of the art, cutting edge technologies and skills to perform their job better. Thank you.
No, thank you, Murari.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Jose, would you like to raise a question around novel composite flours for globally nutritious foods, given that you're in that discipline? Have you got any question to raise on that project? Jose?
Okay, thank you, Richard. I hadn't planned on a specific question, but so Sharon, I note that you're the only one from the team present. Your proposal is looking at the global African diaspora agricultural sector, and you are also linking it to malnutrition, etc. How are you going to make sure that there are, linkages made with the agriculture and health sectors as you implement your project, and how does this, move into the global African diaspora space?
Thanks for your question, Josie. So in terms of the types of linkages, so here in Michigan, we're already linking with farmers and small entrepreneurs. We actually created a bean-based pasta product here. And so I would physically go in and work with these entrepreneurs, bringing the science into that facility. In terms of Jamaica, I know Ian has the UWI has this cassava processing, has a cassava processing plant. And so he has already been linking with small farmers and looking at what types of cultivars or varieties of cassavas grow best in Jamaica, as well as sweet potatoes. So he has already been linking with small farmers. And for Eugenie, they have already been linking with farmers in terms of the types of maize varieties that they will be fermenting and the best method used for fermentation as well. In terms of the health sector now, so we're not in, for our project, we eventually want to be able to do clinical nutrition trials. And this is where we'd be making linkages with the health sectors, where we want to be able to go into a community, sensitize the community to our project. We don't just want to go in and start our project. We want to be able to go in, know the community, and then implement our project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Richard, do you have anything else to ask her?
Not quite. I think we can proceed maybe to the next question. Amy, one of my colleagues, would you like to raise a question around race and ethnicity?
Yes, thank you, Richard. And I think that Monique had answered this in the chat, but maybe for elaborating on this from your team in terms of the intersectionality of identities and how that will be addressed within your program. The question in the Q&A was raised around sexual identity and gender minorities, but just to think more broadly about intersectionality, could you speak to that in your program?
I'm not sure if Monique wants to answer that, if she took it in the chat. I'm trying to scroll through the chat to see if she to see where she answered it.
Right, no, so it wasn't in the Q&A, so it's on the answer. And then so what I was saying is that we're using a mixed method. So we're using census data, and we're also doing focus group sessions. And then so in thinking about intersecting identities, we're cognizant of this. So again, it's our recruitment venues for participants. So again, looking at numerous organizations and also community groups, right? So thinking about the gender composition in this, particularly also in thinking about the different ethnic groups that are present, particularly in Kenya. So we've tried to get at this intersection identity by having numerous locales in which we're going to do the focus groups outside of Nairobi, right? That is known to have specific ethnic group compositions. So again, the locations of where we're having these focus group sessions and the organizations through which we're trying to recruit participants, so to ensure that they're representation, not just in gender, but along having more ethnic groups and racial groups, etc.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Wisdom, how are we doing on time? Maybe we should be coming towards
was that the last one? Looks like, correct? According to my check, and obviously our time we're not doing very well.
Right. Maybe just one general question. One general question and comment. One is, I think, to appreciate that Africa is on the move. Since the focus is really on Africa, but recognizing, of course, that Africa is connected to the diaspora, is connected to Asia, is connected to the northern global, partners. I think one of the questions which keeps on lingering is around how we use this opportunity as researchers in drawing on other donors to put in resources. I wonder whether any colleagues have some pointers on how they might use their research to draw on global funding resources. Again, it's to the question of sustainability, to make sure, how do we make that sure that our work is going to be sustainable by drawing on other funding sources. Any ideas that you may want to share? Anybody? Any of the groups?
Richard, I can share from our side the Asia Africa Business Platform. So what we also have been able to do is that because our project intends to create a platform to facilitate engagement of youth entrepreneurs, and one of the key outcomes and outputs is related to creating collaborative business ventures for these entrepreneurs. So what we hope to do is to engage with African Development Bank, because they support entrepreneurs, to support some of the emerging partnerships from after the 18 months, so that these businesses can actually be scaled up with support from the African Development Bank, as well as the Asian Development Bank. We have already secured some funding from the Toshiba Foundation in Japan, and we are engaging with JICA, because this is the line of work in which they support African institutions.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for Rai. Just a quick remark, for those of us who are from Africa, we are available to explore how your work might actually be disseminated at the country level or at the Pan-African level, whether is through some of the continental forums, would be open to explore those avenues. At the country level, would be very keen to explore how you link up to governments. Most of us have been are well connected with governments across Africa, and we can provide that facilitation to make sure that some of this work is brought to the attention of governments, and in the process, perhaps governments begin to commit resources to sustain the work that you'll be embarking on. Over to you now, Wisdom.
Richard,
thank you so much,
Karim.
Richard.
Karim, Karim.
I just had a quick suggestion that one of the things, if you really want to look at funding at the global level from donors that are supporting global programs that link Africa with Asia and other regions of the world, is for each of these programs, we look at which sustainable development goals we are targeting, yeah? And then you prepare a comprehensive proposal. So you're looking at 11 projects, not in isolation, but together, as a package, addressing sustainable development goals. This is what I think the UN and World Bank and others are looking at increasingly. So that would be my suggestion, that as you move along, you look at this as in a more holistic way, not in just individual projects.
Thank you, Karim, for that. Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much, Richard, and indeed, thank you so much, all the 11 teams, and of course, our great audience. As I move to Emmy for the final words, do you want to show us that you're really happy that we now have these awards on? You can send just one word that best describes your feeling in the chat. And of course, you might want to wave. Over to you, Emmy.
Thanks, Wisdom, and thank you to all the teams and for the wonderful presentations you gave today. We also want to thank the attendees for sticking with us. I think we had great up to the end, and those staying with us a bit over time. Yes, I invite everyone in the chat to put some ideas. Me personally, I'm feeling very hopeful. We're really looking forward to the accomplishments that are sure to come from these teams and from these grants. We would like to also thank our partners in this from MSU, our African Studies Center, the Global Youth Advancement Network, Asia Nexus, Asian Studies Center, Center for Latin American and Caribbean Studies, and the Office for International Advancement. All of these centers have and units have contributed to success of the program and will continue to be engaged moving forward. Next slide, Justin. So we're going to end on an invitation to our next AAP event, which is happening next Wednesday from 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 12:50 p.m. And it's on the future of farming to meet sustainable development goals in Africa. This is a research platform that we support through the Alliance for African Partnership, and we're very excited to hear about the work that they've been doing. So please join us for that. Again, thank you to everyone. Very excited about what we can all do together, and the AAP is very proud of the work that all of you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmy, and indeed, thanks everyone else. And as Emmy said, we at the AAP are excited and looking forward to all the teams achieving what they've set out do. And wishing you a good morning wherever you are, a good evening, a good afternoon from wherever we are at this particular moment. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience.
Thank you, Wisdom. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Amy. This is great. Very nice network. I think it is a great beginning. We can
Thank you.
Yes, I am so pleased. Thank you.
Thank you so much.